When I was 5, my mother taught me to knit garter stitch with nice, thick orange wool. And when I was 6, I graduated to stocking stitch with some pillar box red. There was only a brief lesson in stocking stitch before she left me for the weekend with an elderly friend. The friend had been a nurse in the First World War, and she knew everything. I took out my knitting, but I couldn't remember how to do purl. I knew what stocking stitch should look like, and that it was a step up from garter stitch. I wanted the kudos. I knew that for stocking stitch, you had to do alternate purl and plain, but I didn't know the word row. I went to my mother's friend. "I want to do 1 purl, 1 plain," I said. "Like this," she said, showing me rib stitch. 1 purl, 1 plain. "That's not right," I said. "It's not like that. It's 1 purl, 1 plain." "It is right," she said. "This is it. It's the only way to do it. 1 purl, 1 plain, rib stitch." Language, words, frustration. I didn't know the words for row or stocking stitch. I knew what I wanted, but not how to get it. Lesson 1. You need the right words to communicate about anything. When I was 10, my mother decided my method needed adjusting. I'd held my hand above the right-hand needle, taking it off for every stitch, but now she deemed me ready to knit with the hand under the needle and minimal movement of my pointer to wrap the yarn. We were doing the good old English method, which is slower than the European, but who dares interfere with generations of mother-to-daughter instruction? I tried, I protested. Awkward, my hands hurt, too slow. My knit stitches were suddenly too tight, increased in number, and the fabric developed holes. Furthermore, now I was knitting cotton. No stretch, not kind to a child's hands. I took it to school. My friends asked what it was. "A dishcloth," I said proudly. But a dishcloth had no traction in that circle. Dishcloths were gray and smelly and lived in the sink, and this one, still on the needles, was gray and smelly already. Maybe it had something to do with knitting in 100-degree Fahrenheit heat. I learned to cast off with a sense of relief. Now I could start something new. Lesson 2. Don't knit with yarn or patterns you don't like. Don't write things you don't like either. Next came the scarf. Baby wool on medium-sized needles, not ideal. Maybe that was all Mum had in her stash, and she was a thrifty woman. Stocking stitch alternating with slabs of a simple, wholly lace stitch. Scarf beat the hell out of dishcloth for status, and even my 10-year-old eyes could see that the new method had greatly improved my tension. The scarf grew. That same year, I did a massive school project, with my excited mother leaning over my shoulder. It was on her birth country, South Africa, and she had a lot of fun. It was larger and longer than any other project in the class, and I felt completely overwhelmed by the great piles of resources. I hated doing it, but it won first prize. Another writing experience from that era. My father offered me £5 to keep a daily diary for a whole year. I only managed it for 8 months, so didn't qualify for the £5, but to my surprise, I had written a book. Lesson 3. Stick at it. Small amounts are cumulative. At 15, there was the lemon mohair jumper. That's sweater for you North Americans, a word I've never understood. Do Americans like to sweat? Yes, Australians like to jump. At 15, I was an ungainly shape, and so was the jumper, but body and jumper didn't match. Sigh. I gave up knitting until my first pregnancy. Lesson 4. You can't undo mohair. Some things are just duds. Recycle. There are always worms as a last resort, and they love munching on stories. Baby clothes. My first proper knitting pattern, bought with due ceremony. I made one item, and it took the whole pregnancy.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.